Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor here with a little bit of a collaboration video with my friend Nerd Lair. You guys may recognize him from an interview I've done with him and some other collaborations that I've done with him in the past. Today we're teaming up to talk about some nostalgic games of ours, or older games, that we've played and enjoyed to some level, but ultimately found very, very disappointed for various reasons. I'll go over mine first, and then Nerd Lair has a very interesting one that I honestly didn't expect from past interactions with him for, his choice about his disappointing games. So let's just get into it. As some of you guys here on the channel might know, Crash Bandicoot is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I love many of the games in the series, even though some of them have their own problems. Overall, I love the series for pretty much everything about it. However, there's one game that I've played, one of many, obviously, nostalgic games that I'm very disappointed by. And I'm sorry to say, but Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex, on PS2 was bad. Now, this game by far is not one of the worst games I've played. In fact, this game has a lot of original ideas from the previous Crash games that make it really good. The problem is this game doesn't know what to do with itself, and when Naughty Dog gave up the reins after Crash Team Racing in the original trilogy, Universal Studios and Traveler's Tales teamed up to create Crash Bandicoot, The Wrath of Cortex, and I was looking forward to getting this game for such a long time. I actually picked that up in Crash Twinsanity in the same day, and don't get me wrong, the game's fine in some areas, but it's so disappointing, especially when you compare the expectations that the game had already set from being announced, and then the follow-up from the epic trilogy. It just didn't deliver in a lot of ways. This game suffers from an identity crisis like no other. It doesn't know what to do with its vehicle segments, it doesn't know what to do with its platforming levels, it introduces so many different new styles of vehicles that don't even work. There's just a lot of problems with this game. The graphics are fine, the story is kind of terrible, the FMV scenes or cutscenes aren't exactly the best quality either for a game, but just going for the core Crash mechanics here, this game features so little just consistency with the levels. The vehicle segments don't control well. The Firefly bombing level is a prime example of this. It just doesn't work. It's boring, long, tedious, takes too long to bomb. The underwater levels in this game are completely trashed in comparison to the original trilogy. More sluggish, more box breaking that goes out of your way to go into hazards. It's just annoying to deal with. And overall, even minor things that Crash is known for, like the Aku Aku invincibility frame, doesn't last as long, isn't as effective, very infrequent, and doesn't even work half the time with half the enemies. But even something as simple as climbing across the monkey bars is slow, tedious, and will take you about 10 years to try to go across from one platform to the other. And in a technical sense, if you're wearing an Aku Aku mask after you pick up 3 masks and you're invincible, you go faster anyway when you're on the monkey bars that can Crash warped. This game, no, it's the same speed regardless of what it is. This game tries to do so much right from the original trilogy, and I'm just skimming over the stuff in this game that's just atrocious in comparison to the original trilogy, and just why it's so disappointing. The controls, the story difference, the stuff that it tries to improve on with the level design, it just all doesn't mesh from the original trilogy for me. And frankly, there's a reason why this game is viewed as just a meh game. It's just viewed as the bridge between the original trilogy and Twinsanity, which a lot of people love, including myself, more than this game. So overall, I don't know if I'll ever do a review going more in depth, but what I'll say now is, in addition to everything I've mentioned briefly in this video so far, this game, by far none, is one of my most disappointing games. And I'm sad to say that as a fan of this franchise. But enough of that. Now that we've gone over my game, let's go into Nerd Lair's segment where he talks about a game that he found disappointing and wasn't quite what he expected either.
What's up, guys? Sean from the Nerd Lair here. Thanks for tuning into this video where today on the Nostalgia Factor I'm going to be talking about a classic game that I'm not particularly fond of. If you haven't guessed what that game is, well, it's Fable. So sit back, relax, and let me tell you the tale of a big game that delivered in a very small way.
Fable is an RPG that was released for the original Xbox back in 2004 from Lionhead Studios. I still remember the day that I first read about this upcoming RPG from one of my favorite game developers in Xbox Magazine. Every single thing that I read about this game, whether it been online or in magazines, was about this virtual world that was governed by cause and effect, choices you would have to make that impacted your character's future. I even remember one specific sentence in that article. It said, "Hundreds of different endings that can change depending on your character's choices." Just the idea of being able to choose my character's fate, a world where every decision that you make has consequences, whether they be good or bad. That was what we were promised. The only aspect of the game that really changed depending on your decisions was the good and evil aspect, with the only real changes being your character's appearance depending on what choices you make. If you make good ones, your character will look more heavenly, but if you make bad ones, your character looks more devilish. The game promised a massive open world, but I found the game to be very linear, almost like a racetrack. There were certain places that you could have free range, but you would eventually hit a wall, and to me, that's not open world. I think if I didn't play this game when it first came out, I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. If I didn't hear about all of the promises, all the hype that the media, led me to believe was going to be in the game was also very short. You could only get about 10 hours of it through the main storyline, 12 to 13 if you completed everything, which, in my opinion, is not a very long game for as big of an RPG as this was supposed to be. All Fable really is a mediocre hack and slash that has really fancy RPG wrapping paper. It's like that prank that parents would play on Christmas where they would put clothes into boxes so you wouldn't realize it until you opened it up, and then you're super disappointed. But you put on a smile and try to grin and bear it as they're laughing at you because you thought you were going to get something else.
So in conclusion, you could say that Fable's not really my cup of tea. It's a decent hack and slash at best, but I didn't buy a hack and slash. I bought an RPG that promised me things that never delivered. So that's why I don't like the game. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Back to you, Ryan, and I'll see you guys in the Nerd Lair. Stay nostalgic.
And that's going to do it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed today's little collaboration. Thank you, Nerd Lair, for being on the channel, man. I really do appreciate it. It's always cool working with you, my dude. If you guys want to check out his channel, which I do highly recommend, he's one of the better smell YouTubers out there when it comes to this kind of content. Trust me, I mean, there's always me, but Nerd Lair does a lot of great work over on his channel, and I highly recommend you guys go and support him via the link in the description, and show him some support, and subscribe to him. And let us know your disappointing games in the comment section of this video, because it's going to be interesting to see if any of you guys have any thoughts on this, of course, on what we thought about these games, or what kind of games that you guys personally found disappointing, or anything such as that. Let us know in the comment section down below all your thoughts, because I always want to know your feedback. And if you guys did enjoy today's little collaboration, be sure to give it a like, and subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you want to catch more videos like this in the future. With all that in mind, Nostalgics, this has been Ryan from the Nostalgia Factor saying, keep on gaming.